This
And my
conference
name's
will
Laura
now be
Schiffman, and I will
recorded.
call this meeting to order of the Montechusett Regional Planning Commission on January 4th, 2024. And once again, Happy New Year. I would like to open the meeting with a roll call first. So I'm going to go through the names that I have. Let's see, Amanda Reed,
Present.
Lunenburg. Amanda, are you on?
Present. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah,
The
she's
way the
coming
screen
through.
is right now, I cannot see everyone. Nope, I can't. So I don't know if you are unmuted.
We can
Madam
hear
Chair,
her.
Lady, she
You are
responded in the
unmuted,
affirmative twice.
Amanda. So Dean from Leominster,
Present.
Larry,
Present.
I don't believe Laura can hear anybody.
Yeah, I don't think it's me.
It's not you.
okay, it's me. I was unmuted on the screen, but my computer was unmuted, so I apologize. So you didn't hear anything, right? That I was saying, I'm assuming.
We heard you fine. I don't think you could hear us at the time, but it sounds like we're good now, huh?
Okay, so you have the introductions, and I'm now going to do the roll call. Amanda Reed.
Present.
Thank you, Amanda. Dean. Valeri. It's going to make me say it wrong. I see that you're on, but I don't hear you.
He indicated present earlier when I think you probably couldn't hear.
No, or nor could I see, because I can't see everyone on my screen. Jeff Tillotson.
Jeff Tillotson, present.
Okay, Guy Corpusori.
Augustino, present.
Okay. Sorry. Kathy Norton.
Present.
Okay.
Present.
Christine Newman.
Present.
Kyle Nordowitz.
Present.
Laura Schiffer and myself. Mary Jo Burkhart.
Present.
Rebecca Merrill.
Present.
Rick Ward.
Winchendon alternate, present.
Okay. Stacy Donahue, Harvard.
Present. Here.
Okay, was there anybody that I missed? That's all that I see.
So
Abby
I'm not-
Arpano, the Ashburnham alternate, is here.
Okay, thank you, Abby. Sorry for that. Anyone else?
Oh, hang on. Dean Valier, Leominster.
Yes, I have.
Present.
Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
my computer went out.
Okay,
Sorry.
that's okay.
Laura, Christopher Monroe also just joined.
Oh, thank you. So as long as we have all of those for the minutes, and I know that Robert Schwartz is absent with notice. He did let us know. So this meeting is being held under Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, signed by the Governor Healy on March 29th, 2023, allowing local and regional governments to hold public meetings remotely or in hybrid fashion. All votes will be taken by roll call. Okay, number 2 on the agenda is our minutes of December 7th from a
Madam
member.
Chair, this is
Yes?
Jeff Tillotson. Like to move to approve the minutes as presented.
Guy Corpusoro, second.
Okay, and I did have one note that I sent to Holly and Glenn about the attendance of Robert Schwartz. He did come to the meeting last week. He just wasn't, last month. Because I remember him speaking and he just wasn't there for the roll call.
I would consider that a friendly amendment to include Mr. Schwartz' presence at the meeting. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay. Any other comments? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote, please. So Abby,
So I abstain. I wasn't
okay.
at-
Amanda Reed,
Aye.
Dean,
Aye.
Jeff,
Jeff Tillotson, aye.
Guy,
Aye.
Kathy Norton,
Aye.
Kristen Newman,
Aye.
Christopher Monroe,
Aye.
Kyle Nardowitz,
Aye.
Laura Schifrin, aye. Mary Jo Bocart,
Aye.
Rebecca Merrill,
Abstain. I wasn't at that meeting.
okay. Rick Ward,
I'm a non-voting member tonight because Guy Copacero's here.
okay, Rick. Sorry about that. Nice to have you here, though.
Okay.
Stacy Donahue,
I would also be a non-voting member. Abby would be the voting member for our town.
okay, thank you. And that is the roll call vote. Thank you. Number 3, cash schedule. Who will be presenting tonight?
Laura, I believe that I'll be doing the cash
Will
schedule.
be Linda.
Okay, thank you, Linda, please.
Okay, so this is the December cash schedule. The opening balances from November 30th, 2023 is $553,627.02. Cash receipts and transfers, which equals the total receipts, is $138,989.41. Total cash on hand before this warrant is $692,616.43. Less the amount of this warrant, which includes all cash disbursements, is $146,192.80, which gives us a balance after the warrant of $546,423.63.
Any
Anybody has?
questions?
Yeah.
Any board members with questions?
I move to accept the warrant as presented.
This is
Subject-
Jeff Tillotson. So I was going to say, do you accept subject to audit, Guy?
Correct, subject to audit.
Jeff Tillotson will second that motion.
Thank you very much. Is there any further discussion? If not, I'll take a roll call vote to accept the financial subject to audit. Let's see. This is switching around on me. Abby,
Aye.
Amanda Reed,
Aye.
Dean Valeri.
Dean Valier, Lemonster, aye.
I'm probably never going to get, I'm sorry. Jeff
That's all.
Tillotson,
Jeff Tillotson, aye.
Guy,
Aye.
Kathy Norton,
Aye.
Kristen Newman,
Aye.
Christopher Monroe,
Aye.
Kyle Nardowitz,
Aye.
Laura Schifrin, aye. Mary Jo Bocart,
Bohart, aye.
Rebecca Merrill.
Skip me.
Okay. And that is the remainder who will be voting.
Oh, Stacy Donahue from Harvard. Aye.
Oh, I thought you had said somebody else was voting. I'm sorry, Stacy.
Nope, nope, just me from Harvard tonight.
Okay, thank you, Stacy. Okay. So next, is George
Sorry.
here? Is there anybody
Um,
here
it's-
that, excuse me?
Sorry to confuse you. It's Rebecca Merrill that has someone else voting. Thank you.
Thank you. So for the record. Guest announcements and questions. Is George here? Guess not.
I don't see him on here.
Okay. I thought he was on the registration list. Okay, could have been wrong. So seeing none, we'll go on to administrative matters. Glenn?
Thank you, Madam Chair Lady. Apologies for the camera not working. The item number 5, admin matters. Holly, thanks for putting in the photos. We had a retirement lunch for Brad Harris earlier this week. We had announced earlier at the prior commission meeting that Brad was retiring, that we would be advertising to follow our policies. We have an internal posting policy before we go outside. So I just want to say we had a nice lunch with Brad, and he got some well wishes, I thought. And if any of the other staff want to say anything now or later toward the end of the meeting under other business, go ahead. If it's okay, I'll go on to the 5.1, which is the recommendation to recommend the hiring of Brian Doherty. He's a senior planner in transportation. Jason, can you scroll down, please, to 5.1? Thanks a bunch. The recommending to the hiring of Brian Doherty as our next transportation projects director. So in the December Planning Commission meeting, we asked as staff some commissioners to volunteer on an interview panel. We formed that on December 7th at the last commissioners meeting. I want to thank you for serving, Mary Jo Bohart from City of Fitchburg, Christopher Monroe from Hubbardston, and Bob Schwartz from Gardner. Internally, staff participated on the interview panel: Sherry Bean, Senior Planner for Transportation, our Planning and Development Director, Karen Chapman, and our Admin and Human Resources Director, Holly. And I rounded out the panel with 7 people. We interviewed Mr. Doherty on Friday, December 29th. So let's see the next paragraph. The panelists discussed his merits, unanimously voted to recommend the hiring of Mr. Doherty to the commissioners at tonight's meeting to be the agency's new transportation projects director. And then the rest of the enumerated paragraphs there, I am recommending Mr. Doherty be hired in accordance with the following conditions. Basically, at the interview panel, we talked about making sure that we provide some training for Brian, and that he takes training in leadership, staff oversight, some of the topics I mentioned there. Recommending that we start him as a salary at $105,000. The range that was advertised was $95 to $110. And that we commence that on January 8th, which is basically this coming Monday, where Brad's last day on the payroll would be tomorrow, January 4th, to tie that all together so we'd have a continuity of management. Item 1A, there are some examples of courses that we would have Brian attend, and that item 1B basically says, based on performance and based on attending several courses, no less than 3 this calendar year, that we bump his salary up to July 1, 2024 for fiscal 25 to the $110,250. Item number 2, that assuming his salary does go to $110,250 on July 24th, that he then attend more training. Basically, the gist of this is to have some intensive training for new managers, essentially, and that item 2B, based on successful performance and completing the courses, that he be bumped up to the $115,762.50 on July 25th for FY26. The last item would be number 3 on the next page. Thanks, Jason. That after those 2 years of training and working successfully in the new role, that we just follow policy, and that he would be given merit raises along with all the rest of the staff. So this is a way to recognize a person for their work, but also at the same time requiring that they bone up in an area because Brian has had some personnel oversight, but we'd like him to have some training in that area as he takes on more personnel. That's the gist of the recommendation. The last paragraph in the report, commissioners and the ED reserve the right not to award additional compensation stated above if the new TPD does not fulfill the requirements. And that's basically what you put in there just to cover your bases. So you get this if you do, or you don't if you don't. And then I will leave the resolution to you, Madam Chair Lady, or someone you appoint to do the first and second. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there someone else that would like to make the resolution or the motion to move?
Guy Carpaccio, I move the resolution as printed.
Okay, is there, and the second is by?
Mary Jo Bohart.
Thank you, Mary Jo. Any discussion? Hearing, seeing none, I will take a roll call vote on the resolution. Abby,
Abby Arpano, aye.
Amanda Reed,
Aye.
Dean,
Dean Valier, aye.
Jeff,
Jeff Tillotson, aye.
Guy,
Guy Carpaccio, aye.
Kathy, Norton,
Aye.
Kristen Newman.
Aye.
Newman, aye.
Christopher Monroe,
Aye.
Kyle Nardowitz,
Aye.
Mary Jo Bohart,
Aye.
and Laura Schifrin, aye. Passes
Stacy
unanimously. Thank
Donahue,
you.
aye.
Pardon me?
And Stacy Donahue, aye.
Oh, why are you not on my list?
That's okay.
I thought it was Ayer that forgot about Harvard all the time, Stacy, but I'm gonna, I know why you guys got I know why you got a complex now.
That's exactly true.
I'm really
It's
sorry.
all right, Jeff.
I'm just poking fun a little bit. Madam
It's all
Chair.
right, neighbor.
Okay.
If I could just say a few things. Sorry, this is Brian Doherty.
Yes, Brian?
Just first of all, I'll introduce myself. I know I've been at these meetings before over the years. I've been here 16 years. I think the last one I was at was probably last year, filling in from Brad. I forget when that was, but basically we're all looking forward to working with everyone, and we're really going to miss Brad. He's been here for 38 years. I think he's been director for over 30, so it's just a huge change for our department. And we're all going to miss him. He's been a great boss, but he's set us up to really take it from here and move forward. He's really helped me a lot over the years, and everyone in the transportation department, and especially over the last few weeks. So we look forward to working with everyone moving forward. So thank you.
Thank you, Brian, for saying that. And yes, we appreciate Brad very much. All of us do. And I also want to thank the interview committee for doing such a great job. 5.2, regionalization services discussion information. Glenn, do you want to handle
Yeah.
that?
Thanks, Laura. Actually, if it's okay, can we go to item 5.3 first, because it's related to 5.1, and then if we can do 5.2 at the end, that would be the last point. Now that you've approved the hiring of Mr. Doherty as Transportation Projects Director, we have to replace Brian Doherty. We have to find a successor. So what the management's allowed to do per the policy is we can post internally and advertise externally if there is not an internal applicant for the post that Brian holds. Brad and Brian and I spoke, I believe it was yesterday, and we're going to try to cast a broad net and try to look for someone, whether it's entry level, mid-level, or at Brian's level that he just is about to depart on Friday night at 5 p.m., senior planner. And we need 5 people in the transportation department. When Brad leaves at 5 p.m. tomorrow, we'll be down to 4. When we open up 9 o'clock Monday, we'll be down to 4. So we have to advertise pretty quickly. Now we have checks and balances in the system. I noticed we have some pretty new members. We have some new members that started at the beginning of COVID and maybe you feel new, and we have some other members that started maybe before the pandemic and then we have some long-standing members. So the bottom line is that the commissioners approve the hiring for names that are brought forward to the commission at regularly as needed, I should say, at these monthly meetings. So basically, this is a point of information. We'll advertise, we'll try to get some applications in, try to review those. And basically the last paragraph under 5.3 says basically, look, we'll advertise, and that I don't see bringing anybody forward, obviously tonight, because we have to advertise, but no earlier than February 8th, which is the next meeting of the planning commissioners. And it might be the March meeting, it might be the April 4th meeting. So the bottom line, as Jason I know was working on the glitch because our screen just went black, that's basically what 5.3 says. We'll advertise, and when we find someone, we'll bring them back forward to hire to have them succeed Brian's to be vacated job slot in the next 24 hours. So that's the gist of, and Jason's always there to fix problems. Thank you, Jason. So that was just a follow-up to 5.1. It's informational. Now, if we could do 5.2, which is also informational, if that's okay with everybody.
Excuse me, Madam Chair.
Madam Chairlady especially. Go ahead.
Excuse me, Jeff Tillotson, another question, Glenn. You had to put together a interview committee for this last round to bring in the director. Do you need an interview committee for the hire to fill that seat from the commissioners?
No, this is the first time since I've been ED in 17 years that we had an interview panel, and I requested it because Transportation Projects Director position had been filled for 38 years, and I thought it was very prudent to do so. Also, I told the interview panel, I may have said to the commissioners that it's also a dry run for when I retire. I'm planning on retiring in 2.5, 3 or 3.5 years. So this is I wanted to try to instill some corporate memory on what to do in a couple of years or so.
No, thank you. I was just curious about that. When I read through the notes for the meeting tonight, I noticed it was not an interview committee. And being new to the commission this year, I just thought I'd ask. Thank you.
I love questions. Madam Chairlady, is it okay if I go into 5.2 and finish up?
Yes, and thank you, Jeff. That was a good question because I was going to ask it. So thank you for doing that. Go ahead, Glenn.
Thank you very much. So basically, all of a sudden, we get these questions in batches. Hey, can MRPC do this? Can you do that? And recently, and I'd like to pull in Karen Chapman in this discussion, whether it's a phone call or you're standing next to a town administrator, or sometimes they'll email out of the blue. Basically, we've had some questions about, hey, MRPC, can you deliver other services to our communities that are outside of planning, but they are municipal services? In the first paragraph, probably in the first or second sentence, it says something about building inspector or building inspection, land use planning, weights and measures. Those are 3 things that have been mentioned. Now, Karen's closer to these questions. I'm going to finish up in just a second. The reality is that, so A, please be advised we're receiving some of these questions. B, we'd like the commissioners to give us input tonight if you hear of anything, and also take this conversation back to your town manager, town administrator, mayor, fellow local official, DPW, or doesn't matter. And if you could do some research on the ground in your community and say, hey, we haven't been able to find this person in this particular department over here in ABC department. If you could bring that information back to us or email us, but by the February 8th meeting, which is 5 weeks from tonight, not 4 weeks from tonight, we'd like to extend this conversation. We're knocking around, just kicking around the idea right now of surveying all the communities to see if they have needs, maybe have some survey results come back at the commission meeting for the 8th. Jason, would you be so kind to scroll down so we could see that last paragraph in the middle of the screen? It says MRPC could enter into interlocal agreements. The bottom line is we're a government body. You represent government bodies, whether you're full-time or part-time volunteers. The reality is that a community can hire MRPC in an interlocal agreement, and we can just deliver the service, or a community can go put something out to bid. It's up to a community what it wants to do. So we could do these kinds of things through interlocal agreements, sometimes called intermunicipal contracts or MOUs or MOAs, or we create a consortium of communities, a small group that might want to have building inspection services. Let's say 6 towns get together and 6 out of our 22 can't find a building inspector. This stuff is not uncommon in Massachusetts. Franklin Regional Council of Governments, this is their primary business, and that's the last example. We could create a council of governments for all 22 communities and just, you know, basically deliver these services in a much more robust atmosphere. So this is the seed of a conversation. If you could go back to your communities, we'd really appreciate it. We'll probably survey the communities, and we'll go back to the people that have asked us and say, are there other issues? We will probably reach out to town administrators. They have monthly or quarterly meetings, the TAs throughout the state, and we'll ask them to talk to each other, get back to us. Karen, you want to add to this? And then I'm done talking for the whole night.
Thank you, Glenn. No, you really said it all. You know, I've just been having questions from a number of communities, you know, communities that have historically not had planners, as well as other communities that are having a hard time hiring different positions. That's it. Thank you.
Madam
Kyle
Chair, if I may.
Nardowitz.
Yes, Kyle?
Just Royalston would definitely be interested in a few different services with that for sure. So, but I'll get back to you, Glenn.
Okay,
Yeah,
anyone
Jeff
else?
Tillotson.
Yes, Jeff?
One of the challenges we have here in Ayer is an IT director, believe it or not. Are you looking for any and all needs in the towns that might be a possibility, or are you looking specifically in the building planning?
Any and all. Public health nurse, health inspector, you name it. We don't want to get into school district and teaching, but you know, think of anything in the town hall, DPW, whatever it is. So think municipal services that are not educational.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's going to be helpful.
Madam Chair, if I may?
Yes.
Kirsten Newman Sterling. So we do have multiple, well, not multiple, we currently have 2 intermunicipal contracts with some other towns, one with our building inspector. We've currently just lost our conservation agent, and we're looking to contract with another town for that. I feel some of these smaller towns, we can't afford full-time and the benefits, and that's why we're losing really great people. And so we try to work with other towns to provide full-time employment and be able to share the benefits and everything with some other towns. But I was really happy to see this on the agenda, because I think that if we have this service through MRPC, somewhere to go to work on these contracts and figure out what towns have the same needs, it would be very beneficial, at least to Sterling. So thank you for coming up with this idea.
Thank you, Kristen. I know Townsend finds itself in that kind of situation between departments very often, and in particular the last couple of years. So the smaller towns, if MRPC can put together something for a number of the towns, hopefully it'll save everyone money in the long run. So anyone else would like to comment on that? No, but we certainly, I guess, Glenn, you'll be putting the word out to all the towns. We can do it, obviously, but to all of them.
I think we'll definitely. Yeah, go ahead.
My question was that once you get all this, you can then kind of put a scale together, or a graph, if you will, of the communities, the size of the communities, and those that would be able to be serviced. I mean, I probably not.
Yeah, we'll send.
I don't think Leominster and Fitchburg is have the same problems as the communities that are under 10,000 people. So
I think, yeah, I think we'll survey all the communities and just see what they say. First of all, start there. And, you know, by the next meeting on February 8th, I think what we would do is, you know, probably in those conversations, you know, there's easy study money to obtain from our Sterling colleague tonight, saying, you know, look, maybe an interlocal agreement with another town, but these can be studied under the Massachusetts Community Compact Program. It's easy study money to grab and then say interlocal agreement to do X conservation agent plan or whatever it is. So there's a lot we can do in this area. And then we can certainly gauge it against the local demographics if you'd like. That's easy. Sure.
okay. If there's no other comments, we can go on to department updates. And anything from GIS? Anything from planning and development?
Hold on one second. So I think we had discussed previously that we were moving towards like an application that would be available to anyone to be able to look up projects that are going on in the community and the region. I just put the link in the chat box. There was also a link in the shared drive that Ollie had sent out earlier, a link to that application. So I'm just going to share that real quick. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but if people have questions, they can certainly let me know. If they have comments, they can certainly let me know. And they can also contact me offline to suggest any, anything that they need or want to see. So I'm just going to try and share. All right. See how this goes. All right. Let's see. Minimize everything I'm working on here. And all right, can you guys see my screen here with the application?
Yeah, we can see them. Oh, well.
Might be a little difficult. So basically, we just wanted a quick and easy way for people to be able to look for projects in their area. There's a couple of different ways you can do it. Anybody that's familiar with using Mr. Mapper knows this looks very familiar. There's a lot of tools up here on the right. A lot of them completely unnecessary if you don't want to use them, but some people use them for various things. The ones you really want to make sure you know, there's a link for a user manual here that'll help step by step with icons and graphics, sort of walk you through using all of the tools. If you click on any one of these dots, it'll tell you what projects are going on in that community or region. So I click on it, you see up here it says 1 of 2. That means there's 2 projects that we're currently working on specifically for the town of Ashby, MHP Ashby. I don't know if that's an outdated date or an outdated project, but I noticed a couple of these that we'll have to work through with the planners to either provide new end dates or remove these projects. But if you click on it, you'll notice you can find out the project name, a description, if there's an update available for that, which department is working on that, if there's a specific contact for that, if there's an expected completion date. So you see in Townsend, we have 3 in augmentation. If you want any information about that, contact Karen. Here's our contact information. The status of the project is current. And if there are any attachments, whether those be draft reports or links to things, those would be noted down here. Another way to access this information is through the Identify tool. So you can go ahead and click on a town and you'll see you can just scroll through these. So 1, 2, there's 3 in MRPC that we've been in Ashburn that we're working on. One thing I noticed when I was just looking through this earlier, it's been kind of a crazy couple of weeks with some IT problems. In this Identify tool, you'll notice that a lot of them say December 31st, 1969. I obviously have to fix that. Those values are null. I'm not sure why they're coming through that way, but I'll get that fixed. But again, if you're looking,
Can I interrupt for just a sec?
Absolutely.
I realize you're just doing a demo for us, but with the green dots,
Yep.
and you touch on one and it shows the various active projects and things. So is it correct to say that if a municipality has no green dot, there are no projects?
There should be one for everyone. I'm noticing, I'm not seeing why Fitchburg isn't. If I refresh the application, I would bet that would pop up.
Okay.
There should be one for everyone. So like, for example, in Phillipston, I don't believe we have any, no, I guess we do. Was it Petersham? Yeah, so Petersham, there are no active contracts that we have. I will refresh in a minute and we'll see. I bet the Fitchburg one, I don't know. I think when I resized my screen, it just didn't pop back up, but we can check that in a minute. And then there's the only other way to access those projects down here, you'll see there's a little button here for the attribute table. So here you can go ahead and see all of the projects. You can sort whether you want to by a town, a contract number, whether you want to sort by the department or a status. And you can also do some, you can export this to a CSV, which would open in Excel if you wanted to look at it that way. And then if you see a project that you're interested in, you can click on it and it will zoom there. And so for Lancaster specifically, we're working on one.
And Fitchburg is in that list, by the way.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, it's funny when I refreshed, I thought that it would pop back up. It's definitely there. I'll double check. I think it's, if I actually have to refresh the application to see it. Yeah, there you go. Transit development plan, long project description. And then if there were attachments, again, you'd see them out over here. But like I said, we wanted to make it as basic as possible. This MRPC is any projects that that we're working on that is specifically for the entire region. And then other might be things like, I noticed this with Growing Places or, Transportation Management Association project that aren't exactly either fully regional or a community would fit into that. So if anybody has any questions, please fire them out. If you have any suggestions, whether they be offline or now, let me know. And we're just trying to make this as simple as humanly possible. And I guess I'll look into why Fitchburg's not showing up.
Thank you, Jason. Anybody else with any questions? Okay, so we can go on to planning and development. Karen, did you have anything?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to let everyone know that the DLTA program year 17 request for service delivery will be going out via email and snail mail on Monday. The first deadline is for the March commission meeting. This year we are prioritizing MBTA communities and working on a master plan for one community. So those, you should get an email on Monday, and then CEOs and members get it in the actual mail. We're required to snail mail it twice. So I apologize ahead of time for all the paper that you receive in your mail. And that's it.
Okay, anybody have any questions for Karen? Seeing none. Transit and transportation.
Yes, I can give an update on that. So we're beginning the process of updating our transportation improvement program. So this will be federal fiscal years 2025 through 2029. This process takes place over the next few months. Right now, we're just getting some information on project statuses. We'll be reaching out to communities and design consultants, as well as Mass DOT for those updates. And we'll be discussing at the MPO and JTC meetings in the coming months. Hope to have an endorsed product by May. So if you have a project that is in the TIP program, and whether it has a year designated already or it's in our appendix, now's the time to reach out to your design consultants and make sure everything's going smoothly, so we can continue on the placement of the project in a current or a future fiscal year. Also, our unified planning work program will follow the same calendar for that. We hope to have a endorsed plan by May. So this is basically our work program for the transportation department through our Mass DOT 3C contract. So there are a number of eligible projects that communities may ask us to do. We've done intersection studies and we've looked at pavement management issues and a number of different things. So we'll have a lot more information on those two things in the coming months at the MPO and the JTC, as well as a commission meeting. So that's sort of what we're working on now. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone have any questions? Hearing none. And I don't know why I have feedback now, but didn't have it before. I apologize. So 7 is reserved for unforeseeable things, and I don't have any. Does anyone have anything they'd like to bring up? Okay, then I will just say Happy New Year again and ask for an adjournment to our February 8th meeting.
Guy Carpacero move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Christopher Monroe, second.
Thank you, Christopher. If no one has any objections, I'll take it as a unanimous vote. I don't see any.
Happy
So,
New Year.
Happy New Year and see you February 8th. Thank you, everyone.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.